Good morning everyone. Today we're going to be talking about several tips that I have, especially for my controller players, for all my PlayStation 4 players out there, because there are quite a lot of things that are very different on controller versus mouse and keyboard. Now do keep in mind, I am mainly a mouse and keyboard player. I do not play on the controller very often. However, for the sake of this video, I do have a PlayStation 4 controller over here, and as you can see on the bottom left, I do have the controller input thingy, so that you can see all the inputs that I do, as well as how to make your life a little bit easier to navigate all of these menus. But before we jump into all of that, if you're new to the channel, I upload NGS content daily, so if you do play this game, I would really appreciate a subscribe, as it really helps out the channel. Anyway, without further ado, let's begin the video. Alright, so the very first thing I want to talk about is changing your key bindings. You're going to press your start key, you're going to go over to systems and control settings over here, and you can change it to symbols, to letters, to numbers, to keyboard. So depending on what you're playing on, for example, if you're playing on a PlayStation, you want the symbols. If you're playing on an Xbox controller, then you want to change it to letters. Numbers is like a Switch controller, I think. I think like the Switch Pro controller has numbers. And then, of course, if you're mouse and keyboard, you can change it to the keyboard. And that way you get the correct symbols whenever you're running around, so you actually know what's what. Because, for example, if I am using mouse and keyboard and I'm running around over here, so like my left click and right click, I don't know what that button is on my controller. So, we're simply again going to go to systems, go to control settings, and switch it back to symbols. And now I know, oh, it's square and triangle. Very easy peasy. The next thing I want to talk about is changing your key bindings. Again, you come to system, control settings, and controller over here, and you can change any of your key bindings. Let's say that you don't like the default recommendation over here. You can go to custom over here and change all of your layouts or all of your key bindings to fit your personal playstyle so that the controls are comfortable for you. The next tip I have for you guys, which a lot of people ask, is how do I zoom out and zoom in with the camera on a controller? Well, again, we have to go to systems over here, control settings. Again, we go to our controller. We're going to scroll all the way down here and approach character and move away from character. So what I like to do is I change it to R3, so move away from character, because I never really want to look in, and boom, you just click your R3 2 times and you're zoomed all the way back out. However, let's say you want to zoom back in, well then again, you can go back to your control settings, go to controller, scroll all the way down here, and for approach character, maybe you want to use L3 to approach your character, for example. So boom, you press L3 to move out and R3 to zoom out. Very easy. However, by default, R3 is actually switch views to go into over the shoulder view, and L3 is actually to call up the sub palette. So you might not actually want to use that depending on what class you play. So for me, I don't really play any ranger or any range class. I'm usually a melee class. So over the shoulder view is kind of redundant to me, which is why I just change it to the zoom out, because I just want to zoom the camera all the way out. Every time you log in, it goes back to that default setting. So it's really annoying. And then as for L3, it actually uses your sub palette. So you can see that down here on my sub palette, I have like Rest Assigns, Photon Blast, Radiant Lilac, all of these other skills. Personally, I use Radiant Lilac a lot as a reposition skill, so it might not be the best idea to remove your L3, because I actually use that to consume items on my sub palette. So yeah, unless I don't want to heal, which is probably not a good idea. Alright, the next thing I want to talk about is going to be the quick menu. The quick menu is a godsend, especially if you play on a controller, because it saves you a lot of time navigating through a bazillion windows, because you can simply press R2 over here in order to set up your own custom layout. So you simply press X over here, go to edit, and boom, over here you can put in stuff that you want. So if you, let's say that we want to add an item, so let's say we want to mute our microphone, we want to change our online status, maybe we want to perform emotes or take screenshots. There are a lot of really nice shortcuts over here which will allow you to go into these menus without navigating through the actual menus. So for example, over here I can play BGM, which allows me to change the background music. Let's put one more setting, such as stamps. Okay, so boom, you can see we've got play BGM and stamps over here. We're going to click confirm, and once we return to a menu again, we're going to activate our quick menu. You can press your up key and bam, you're in your stamps menu. So once you're in your stamps menu, you can select whatever stamps you want. Let's say that we want to do that. Boom, there you go. Stamp, very easy. We want to go to play BGM. Bam, I've got my own playlist, but you could also play all your different songs just from a click of a button. Now, if you wanted to access the BGM menu normally, you'd have to press start, go to sub palette, go to mags, go to music settings, go to play, and then select all your songs. So, that's like 5 extra menus. And then if you wanted to go to the stamps, I actually have no idea how to do that on a PlayStation controller, but on my keyboard I would press enter, then I'd scroll all the way down here to click on stamps and then navigate through all my stamps, blah blah blah, and that's just such a hassle. Well, now if someone's talking to you and you just need to reply quickly, you can go to stamps over here and say, you know, hi, or good job, or no problem, rare job. You know, you've got all of these stamps at your disposal, very, very easy, and they pretty much send the message pretty easily. So let's say that you got something good, boom, you just put the rare drop, everyone sees it, wow, they know that you got something cool. So please take advantage of the quick menu, especially if you're on controller, because it's such a hassle to navigate through all these menus. I personally actually still use the quick menu even on mouse and keyboard. The one that I've customized is room keyword and photo room settings. This allows me to put a password onto my room very easily over here, and also allows me to input passwords if I want to join a friend's room very easily, simply because it's such a pain in the butt sometimes. But you are not limited to just adding functions over here. If there's a function over here which you don't actually need, for example, change online status, I don't need this, you can change to another and you can change it to something else. So let's say you want to share your location with your party, which basically lets your entire party know where you are and where exactly you are. It'll do this like beeping thing, and it's very, very useful. Or maybe even take screenshots so that you can just run around and take a screenshot very easily with your quick menu. It's very, very useful. There's a lot of convenient stuff over here. We can go straight to our mission pass, we can get quest information, we can abandon quest, retry quest, equip weapons, armors. There are a ton of options over here, so yeah, it's gonna make your life much, much easier, especially on a controller. All right, with the quick menus out of the way, the next thing I want to talk about is quality of life. So over here, you can see on my weapon palette, which is in the bottom middle of my screen, you can see I've got my auto attack, and my triangle is like my AoE attack. However, you're going to notice under the triangle key, there is L2. If I hold down L2, I can actually switch weapon palettes and get, you know, more abilities. So you can see my triangle is now a single target damage. If I let go of L2, it now turns to AoE. However, I am a very lazy person. I do not want to hold down L2 the entire time in order to use my single target damage. I want to be able to just tap it. So I'm going to press start. I'm going to go to systems over here, go to options, and right here under controls, you can see back palette switching. Instead of hold down key or button, we're going to do single press. And once that is done, I simply tap L2 and bam, I'm on single target damage mode. If I need to go back to AoE, I tap it again, bam, I'm back to AoE. Very, very simple. Fits my extremely lazy playstyle. Now, speaking about lazy playstyles, there is one thing that drives me insane, and that is going to be the auto wall kick. By default, this is going to be on auto. So what auto wall kick does is when you're running into a wall, it's automatically going to jump off the wall as long as you're just running towards it. So you can see over here, I just run to it and boom, I immediately jump off without having to press a key. And that drives me nuts because you can double jump and wall kick up there. However, as you can see, that wall kick totally screwed up because the timing was off, because, well, it's automatic. So if you're like me and you like to manually kick, you can turn this off to manual, and that way when you run into a wall, you have to press X to do the wall kick. So you can see I'm going to double jump, wall kick, and bam, I'm on top of this pillar. Very, very easy. I've got a lot more control because of this. Another thing that drives me insane is diving attack with simultaneous button inputs. This by default is going to be enabled. I disable it. So what this does is, let's say that you're fighting in the air, you know, there's a boss, you have to jump up to get to their weak spot or something, and you accidentally press jump again, you're just going to fall straight down and do that ground pound attack. And that is really annoying for me because, well, I always accidentally press X to jump again, especially when I'm in the air. I'm like, oh, I need to get higher, and then I accidentally press it and I fall all the way down, and I'm like, wow, I'm an idiot. So instead of suffering through that all the time, I'm going to go back to options again. I'm going to go to diving attack with simultaneous button inputs and disable that. So now when I double jump in the air and I'm attacking, I can press X, I can press all these other keys, and nothing's going to happen. I do not fall straight down to the ground. And life is good. Now, the last tip I have for you guys is the lock-on mode. This really depends. I personally like the hold down key button when I'm on controller, but on keyboard, I am a single press person, and this basically allows you to lock onto a target. If you just tap it, it'll lock on with single press. However, with hold down key, you have to actually hold it in order to lock onto a target. Really depends on your personal playstyle. I use single press because, again, I do play mouse and keyboard most of the time. Now, switch lock on target using right stick. I always enable this. However, if you're like fighting your camera, because let's say that you're fighting something, you're like locked onto this target and like you're trying to control your camera with your right stick, and let's say there's multiple targets, your camera is just gonna spaz out and just gonna lock onto random stuff. So if you are having that issue, then maybe you want to disable it. Really up to you, because I mean, you could always just lock on again with a single press or whatever to whatever new target you want to fight. So yeah, just whatever makes your life easier, okay? And last but not least, there is the double tap dodging. I don't think this does anything on controller. Most people I know disable it. I have it on long interval because I actually do double tap to dodge in this game. Yeah, I'm just weird on mouse and keyboard. But on controller, in order to dash, all you need to do is tap your R2 key. As you can see, you can dash, but if you want to run, you just hold it down and boom, now you're Ninja Naruto running, easy peasy. So yeah, it's pretty nice, pretty cool. So the nice thing about controller is if you are into screenshots and you want to get that perfect angle, or you want to just like record something cool or cinematic, is that you can actually walk in this game. You can see that I tilt my joystick just a little bit, and you can see that my character is walking, while if I tilt it all the way, they're jogging, and if I do the dodge, now we're dashing. So it's really, really nice that you have that much control over the character. So very, very useful if you want to get like some cinematic view. Let's say you want your character to walk towards the camera and stuff. That's pretty cool. Mouse and keyboard players cannot do this. Special thanks to all the members for supporting the channel. It really means a lot to me. Thank you again. But that's all I wanted to talk about in today's video. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. If you did, I would appreciate a like and a subscribe. And I'll see you guys in tomorrow's video. Bye.
What can I say except you're welcome for the heals that boosts the rest?